Testing? Okay. Hmm. Alright, just doing the skip to see if I can try to get ahead of where I died on the last attempt. So, mainly just going to be orbs and boss. Mainly looking for that move speed there. I think I'm going to stop by the shop, though. Oh, my secret. Might as well. Gotta be careful not to die, because the archers are a pain in the butt. Let's see if I start combo. There we go. That's why it's dangerous to stick around. Slice and dice up real quick. Again, really unlucky on my vengeance procs. Let's see, anything else I can immediately get? Nope. Maybe I just don't want to play a rogue right now. I'm kind of getting that feeling. Alright. Yeah, rogue relies on evasion as its defense, which does not scale well, because it doesn't matter if you evade a couple one-shots, because it only matters if you get hit by one. So let me try to adjust some things here. Don't think it's doing me any favors to not take that. I'm just going to have to do the full run. Yeah, I think out of all the classes, Rogue probably has the worst defensive toolkit. Top Paladin might have slightly worse, but they at least get sources of elemental resistance. Which, you know, leveling up characters from behind, at a certain point, it's the defense stuff that matters, not so much the offense, although balance and act still. But if I get enough defensive trinkets on the run, I should be able to make it work, because most of the trinkets in the game that are worth their salt are defense-based. There's only a handful of good offensive ones. And there's just a lot that are just terrible. So. I'm almost tempted to just play it safe and spec back into a short bow build. But playing a short bow on Rogue becomes a lot more annoying because Slice and Dice then only procs from spells when you take with the one class feature there. So it becomes a lot more to actually pay attention to upkeeping rather than just moving from target to target. But, you know, managing upkeep is better than just getting dead. So might have to go with that. Having the armor from strength gear is also nice in that the very early game I can just ignore is everything up into like yeah, I guess it would be Harbingers is pretty much physical damage. That matters. I mean, there's splashes of spells and there's splashes of poison, but nothing threatening. And then Harbinger drops a bit, well, Totem. But if you're dying to Totem boss, you're either not paying attention or you've torqued something else up in your build. But yeah, Harbinger with all the fire damage. It's the first real threatening elemental. Is there a secret over there? No. There is here, though. Yeah, shortly before Thanksgiving, I'm going to be starting playing in a D&D campaign on Wednesdays. Currently thinking what type of character I want to play. I'm thinking either a Warlock or a Druid. 2024 rules do a lot for both classes. Although, it does feel weird that like all of the main core stuff for a Druid is affecting wild shapes, and Moondruid's the only one that can really appreciate that, but spell lists and subclasses got a big improvement. And those have always been what's carried the Druid. I don't know why I popped in here, nothing good. Okay, secrets? No, I don't see any. Yesterday when I tried the Rogue, I had overgeared my gear to 800, but that was putting a big strain on my stats. To be very, very strength gear focused, and every bit into strength is stuff that's non to vitality, which is big. To kind of make up for going that, I ended up switching the helm back to Carnage, which is probably a mistake. I probably need that to still be vitality, but I don't want to be killing things too slow. I really wish the rogue's defensive toolkit was better. Then again, if I leveled my warlock appropriately, no, it would still be a problem. I think the real problem is there's no real mitigators for elemental damage. Guild in the warlock is the only thing. But near the end of the game, there are 2 potent sources of elemental damage that just do so much more than everything else. Just the wisps and the quartz archers. I think you were in here. Yeah, you saw me when I basically just got clipped by 2 arrows. It's like, no, you're dead. That's it. Game over. GG no re. Did I pick up this? I did not. I didn't even hear him. Okay. I think I should be fine as long as I don't focus on clearing like I did yesterday. If I come through with all the trinkets. Which, if you heard me complaining yesterday, means I won't level. You know, I'll clear. I can always get some levels doing maps. I could get a set of level appropriate here, I suppose. Because being overgeared matters less and less as you level up. Like, don't get me wrong, it still matters. But the ratio that a level buys you in stats becomes so much less. So it's more the requirement keeps on bumping up. Because not all stats are created equal, especially defensively. The 1 point of armor that a level of strength gives is pitiful. I mean, it's more than Dex and Int give, because they give nothing defensively, but when you're in melee, you need a bunch of tankiness. And Vitality gives you both the regeneration factor and the total pool. Like, parry is such a bad stat, but these are literally worthless. Sorry, distraction. Yeah, it gives you both the regenerating factor and the pool to keep it from getting one shot. I think my regen is something like 400 at the moment, so it takes like just 25 seconds to go from 0 to full, or 12 seconds if I have combo up. So that number will only ever shrink as you collect iron. I do think it'll be funny. Theoretically, there's a point where every second you regain your whole health bar. And I think that would be a very funny point to get to. But I think I mapped it out and it's something like 50 million iron donated. I've had to try this 3 times. I might actually get to level cap. Even without going down and chasing down all the archers. Man, this is the good old days of just spamming Phantom Knives on a rogue and just watching everything in front of me die. I actually did run a spell-based rogue not too long ago and I cleared on it, but I don't think it was slower. No, there's not a known fix. They're still very confused about what actually caused it. I'm pretty sure it's related to the memory leak issue. But they're struggling to track it down. Also, is my audio better today? I realized there are some built-in filters that OBS has that I just wasn't using last time, and it looked like it was picking up a lot less of the clicky clacks and the computer fan. But I pretty much just jumped straight into the stream. I didn't bother with actually playing back any audio, so that's probably my bad. I love how 60% of the trinkets are useless. Oh, good. Okay, that's good, that's good. Yeah, I was messing with some dials and knobs and whatnot. But I was only looking at bars move, not actually listening to the sound, so I wasn't sure. Okay. I don't feel like I've gotten that many defensive trinkets. I'm hoping I'm just ignoring them. I don't think I am, because my health is still at 10k. So I've at least not got any of the 10% or 20% buffs there. And I'm going to stop getting uncommon trinkets soon. Or, sorry, common trinkets. So that's going to be painful. Yeah, I think that's the filter on the mic audio. For some reason, I just assumed that the default when I was adding a sound source in OBS would be to apply a noise filter. Because I'm just lazy with Discord doing that. I actually dug through some of the settings and found out where to add that, so I got that added. Like, my keyboard's pretty loud, so I'm sure that is still coming through sometimes, but when I just stop talking, I don't see... Well, I didn't need that trinket anyway. When I stop talking, I just see the bar stop moving, which is a good sign. Instead of just being a low hum. Why did I pick you up? I shouldn't... Whatever. It's literally all of your uses. Okay. I could put stun on my axe instead of... That might be something. That's good. Yeah, like I said last time, it was my first time just popping open OBS. I just put in a couple sound sources, and like I think I even connected the Discord sound midstream, or Discord audio. So if it's like I was talking to myself when I was talking to people in Discord. Which I could pop in here. Discord if you want to talk there too, but I'm not going to be on for that long. Probably just one run, so probably not. Yes, I was kind of setting it up on the fly because a lot of the videos I just used the built-in Steam recorder. Just because it was already set up, and it's kind of being lazy. Yeah, don't feel like actually putting any real productive work into streaming. That's not a real goal. It's just, might as well talk with people, socialize, and answer questions on the game while I'm playing, because it doesn't slow me down too much. I mean, I joke that I do struggle to walk and talk, but as long as I'm not trying to dodge quartz archers, I'm actually not that slow. I might forget what I'm doing, and that might slow me down, but the full clear, yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing anyway. Just force a habit, cookie clicker. Okay, well, I cleared this run. It makes me kind of sad that I can't get the iron or stone, but, guaranteeing that I'm going to finish this run is worth the loss. God, if you die with a phoenix feather, you don't deserve to pass the run, is all I'm saying. You need to take a step back and figure out what you're doing wrong with the build. Also means that I can conveniently get the remaining experience if I wouldn't normally. So, that's nice too. 600. Woo, early celebration. Before the hubris comes back to bite me and I die before quartz. I don't know how I would do that, but, sometimes the game does like to humble you. Traps do no damage. Which is the goal. That's the point of raising a rogue, is I don't want the traps to do damage. It's just, you definitely feel it switching from a level that's a character that's 200 levels higher. But another 100 or 200 levels on here, and I'll quarter the damage again from traps, which even on my wizard means that they'll be trivial for a good many levels. Yeah, it's basically what makes traps so deadly is they have a two things that really scale hard against you. The first of the things is every new game, trap damage and damage in general just increases by 5% across the board. So every 20 new games, you double the damage of everything additively. So once you get to 40, it'll be 300%, 400% at 60, and 800% at 80. No, man, 400% at 80. I can talk. I can walk and talk. Just can't do math at the same time. that's not the bad one. That impacts it. That what's worse is traps also do generally percent damage of your total health. So when you get to the point where it's like, oh, yeah, I'm doing per tick 500% of 5% of your health, that starts to become an issue. It's like, oh, every tick is guaranteed to be 25% of my health before armor and damage multipliers. Obviously, armor will eventually add on to it. The first couple levels it takes away. But what really gets dangerous is when you start going heavy in the negative armors too. So it's like, oh, and the armor's also making that 20 times extra damage. On top of that, 25% of your health. So all of a sudden, it's like, oh, I'm not doing 25% of my health anymore. I'm doing 500% of my health per tick. And of course, it's like you throw in the rogue that removes like 98% of the damage. It balances out. But it takes a good while before you hit that equilibrium where you will outpace the damage multipliers from the percent of life and the armor and just the flat new game bonus. And it will outpace because that, at the very least, scales exponentially, where every 92, 93 levels of rogue halves the total damage of traps. And that's not an additive half. It's not like, that's why I think at like my 600, I'm like at 98.5% trap damage reduction. So it gets healthy. And if I have that a couple more times, it doesn't matter how much the new game bonus and the other factors in from negative armor. It's like they've stopped outpacing the armor negatives. The only problem is that when you get 200 to 300 levels ahead, it starts to scale back again. But I will eventually make it so that I won't even feel it when I'm 200-300 now. At that point, it's like, oh, well, yeah, when I'm 700 levels ahead, I start to feel it, You're just never going to be a spot where it will never be noticeable, but the gap that you can get will get bigger and bigger very, very quickly. And of course, some traps do a lot more damage than others. The dagger traps that come up from the floor are some of the most dangerous traps generally. Percent of life health they do. And fire being some of the weakest. The beams and quartz are also pretty strong. But I feel like those ones are very, very easily dodgeable. And again, so are the daggers on the floor, but you just want to run past those ones because there's a lot of waiting involved in those dagger traps. A good thing about playing a rogue is there's very few skills that you actually care about seeing. The bad thing about rogue is there's very few skills that you care about seeing. I feel like each of the perks I'm picking up isn't like one of the 2 or 3 that I actually want for increased movement speed. Alright, how bad XP-wise am I looking? Almost 99. Okay, I can skip barracks. Let me just get the important things on the map. Maybe not. That just hit hard. I mean, not compared to like quartz, but I don't want to start burning through potions in barracks. That'd be embarrassing. I'm really excited to see what they do for epic weapons. I imagine it's going to be in the next couple patches. Even though they don't do some rebalance and stuff. I do enjoy the axe. The axe is you know, very Diablo feeling with the spin to win. I'm sure there's plenty of other games, but it reminds me of Diablo. But you know, you get in with some other things every once in a while. Not having a clear-cut choice for a melee weapon. You throw in range, and short bow is up there in a choice, I suppose, but not much variety. Alright. Don't care about that. Don't care about that. That's everything I care about on this map. Jet? No, I don't think it is. Good, good, good. Yeah, I live close to air yard, so plenty of nice jets that come through and make a fun amount of noise. So I'm glad nobody else is having to enjoy that. Okay, how close am I? I need to kill things. But I don't want to have to get this on wisps. I got the 2 pieces of resistant trinkets, at least helping on some of this. An extra 1200 resistance. You know, I used to josh the sorcerer, being like, well, eventually it's going to become a weapon build, and that's going to be a real pain. You know, sorcerers actually get +4 resistance per level as one of their perks, which is actually like infinitely better than anything the rogue gets for damage avoidance. Like, sure, they get nothing damage-wise. That one defensive perk is enough to, I think, honestly make them a better weapons class in-game than fucking rogue. I still hate playing them, because there's no reason for me to care about mana regeneration in the end game for their guild bonus. Kind of pointless, but I don't know, it just seems funny to me that the sorcerer feels tankier than the frickin' rogue. Or maybe that's just D&D aesthetics that we're talking. Because the wizard is also the tankiest. Which I suppose is true in D&D 5e too. For different... somewhat different reasons. Well, barrier is kind of equivalent to, like, the spell, shield. So maybe it's not that different. Maybe same reasons. Look at those healthy chunks. I caught the Shadow Rift sometimes, usually. I don't know, I don't talk about it too much. Sometimes Shadow Trader. I can look in the game files to see what it's actually called, but I feel like that name is good enough to... Man, he sent that one flying. Normally good enough to communicate what's meant. Nope, I don't need equipment. You know, I might as well. I have the Phoenix Feather, and there's all these right here. Get 2 skills out of the way. Hi, no. Ow. Ow. Potions used there. No, thank you. I mean, I'm going to be able to restock next floor, but still. 2 potions. Making me look bad. Oh, I must have a sickle. I just regained a potion. Okay, well, I'm even safer than I thought. Alright. I doubt I'm going to find another one of you, but I'll take you. Oh. Gotta be careful, I'm burning through them. I say that, but I'm getting back as fast as I'm losing them. As long as I keep that up, I'm fine. How much? 54%? Okay. Yes. The wells are on a guaranteed schedule. It'll be in Forest 1, Forest 2, Caves 2, Temple, and then every 2 map. I think it's only a chance on Dark Halls, though, but don't quote me on that. It might be guaranteed. Yeah, they give you. Generally, they'll give you a well right before boss, and a couple more friendly ones in the very, very early game. Pyres, I believe, unless there's a map issue, which can happen where it can't load enough of the buildings on the map, so it has to regen. The pyres are guaranteed if you have it set to on both Courts 1 and 2, if you have the option for more bonfires set on the Architect. So that's a good way to get Shadow Curse gone before you have to face the snakes. Yeah. I don't think they're guaranteed on Dark Halls. But I can't explicitly remember that. have to be looking about okay for experience, right? %. Okay, 81%. I can just run to the end. Because Avatar will give me at least 10%. I don't think I got many experience multipliers this time around. And I'm not running with the, I actually took the protection one instead of the experience one this time around. You wouldn't know it by seeing how many times I'm burning through the Phoenix Feather, but... If I could only fight bosses, that would be so much better. Do that all day. Ooh, burning through here. Don't know why I'm still in a habit of doing that. I literally don't need a Potion Golfer's achievement at all. Still just a habit to clear out potions before taking a new one. Oh, there. That's fine. Don't even have to worry about Avatar. I should probably level up some of the lower level characters that actually matter. Make this easier. They don't matter that much, but every little bit helps. That being like Warlock and Warrior. Ranger wouldn't hurt either. Do I have Yeah, I think I was testing out the strength bow with them. I can't remember if I have a video out for that yet. I think I do. Just so I could have one set of gear between all my characters. And then I go and make a deck set for my frickin' Transmutation Wizard, because that was almost bad. Don't know how many life bars that would have eaten, but that still might have killed me, that slam. Right. Yeah, more damage just means, you know, more stats can go in defense. And I think I need to take less damage because I kill things quicker. Alright, let's see. How long did I end up taking? 37 minutes. Let's see. Alright, 600. Yay. Let's see, where does that get me? 98.91% trap damage reduction. Almost got the 99. Alright, well, I don't think I'm going to push it past 600 until I get a couple others closer. Who's really suffering that I care about? I mean, Warrior would be super easy to get. The only reason he's that far back is the health doesn't matter that much. Like, if I gave him another 180 levels, got him back up to 600, it's like, oh, cool. That's a nice, chill 500 health. Which, I mean, that's not nothing, I guess. That's 5%-ish less than that, actually, but it seems small. All right. All right. Yeah, let me do warrior. I think I'm gonna have to put this. Might actually be hard because I have to put all the stats into strength. All right. I have to actually have some gear that has strength on it. All right. Gonna put the helm back in the transfer tab. And the shielding back in tab number 1. No, I've heard like discussion that I kind of feel like there probably is some RNG factor going on, but at the same time, there's just not that many trinkets, and humans are wired to also just try to find patterns. So even if there wasn't a pattern, people would find one, you know? I'm not saying it doesn't exist, it's just kind of have a natural bias to try to believe there is one. Oh yeah, my warrior has more health than my rogue does. Despite being 180 levels lower, yeah. This isn't going to be super easy. Let's see, experience. You are on speed. That's fine for my wizard. That's probably not fine on my guys that want experience. Let me change that real quick. Learning. Yeah, because learning is not 20% additive experience. It is 20% multiplicative experience. So that every piece matters when you're on one of these classes. Okay. I don't want to be leaping, except when I tell it to. So let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Otherwise, that looks right. A visual bug with the resources. Great. I wish I had a debugger to figure out what was causing that. Okay, 1693. So I have barely enough to equip this piece. Okay, that's fine. Just all my stats will have to go into strength. Try to get not be using that. Yeah, and this run is going to be so much quicker. Let me check. I think I might have been experimenting with something for combo instead of combo speed. I might have been doing... Nope, I was doing combo speed. I tried combo burst to see if it would be worthwhile on some of the characters. Don't need. Make sure I have... I'm going to take you. They're small amounts, but they add up. Resistance actually matters. Okay. Oh, I didn't get many shady dealers. Oh, I did. I got a phoenix feather instead of resources, though. Let's see. I feel far behind on that. What? This is gonna be so quick. Warrior's so much better at weapons than Rogue. You know, not surprisingly. I think they're kind of built that way on purpose, but when weapons are everything, that kind of starts to feel a little bit bad. And Rogue being one of the bonuses that, like, actually super scales into the end game. Where the most kind of trail off a good bit. But because it scales exponentially, it becomes more and more relevant the higher it gets, not less. Oh, well, that's going to speed things up a ton. Oh, you pass this. That's going to slow me down a bit. That's alright. Wasn't even worth turning around for. If it was gold or iron, I would be happy. Yeah, when you have the sprinting monument, it just makes sense to not bother going into whirlwind and just keep dashing. Just auto attack. Because the arc on the axe still isn't bad, even if it's not nearly the damage of whirlwind. Alright. There we go. Armor pen. Axes don't matter. The only reason axes get thrown is to proc drums when we eventually get it. And it doesn't make sense to have two sets of keybinds. Get the metal there, because if I get two of the pieces, that's more experience. The elite damage we literally don't care at all about. Yep, and pretty much the way Warrior is built, the only stats that matter are picking up crit, armor pen, and... Ooh, that's nice. Crit, armor pen, and defensive talents from their perks. Getting up to 50% cooldown, because you take the 25% one as the starting one, is nice. Getting the war cry for the 10% HP on war cry is also nice. But at this level, you have enough passive regeneration, it doesn't fucking matter. Did I get both secrets? I don't think I did. Kind of don't want to hop and go back, but... Am I blind? It is literally right next to the inputs. probably wasn't worth me doing that there, but maybe it was. I just got a ring of speed. But yeah, once you get like to the 200 to 300% iron bonus from the chapel, you find that it makes the classes that have innate health regen stand out a little bit less. Like, they're still great features to have, but when you're passively regaining enough that you, as long as you're not getting bombarded, you're topped off. It makes a lot of things feel stronger, and a lot of things that, you know, it was like, oh, this is a must-have skill, becomes, it's a nice-to-have skill. Which means you can take a lot of the other defensive options over them. Granted, that's at a point that's past most of what people see, but you know, modders, streamers, and fellow no-lifers, you know, get to see that. I'm going to take the health regen over 50% there. Oh. I did lose the speed totem, but that's a monument, that's okay. Leap doesn't actually gain me. With combo and everything to put into speed doesn't gain me that much extra movement, but I can stun guys, that's not bad. I don't really won't press the button at all though, unless I'm actively trying to show it off. That might get me more crit if I get enough pieces, so kind of worth it. That's good. That's good. Tough choice. Nothing there. I am hoping that they retool some of the rewards that you get during a run. Because there's no reason to pick up a lot of things. Like, I can completely ignore resource chests. I can completely ignore equipment chests, especially now that everything is, or almost everything is epic gear, aside from weapons and offhands. And when I was doing catch-up runs, like I'm doing with most of these characters, I can even ignore them then, because I'm not going to want gear that's lower than what I have equipped. Yes, the only thing you end up really caring about are the trinkets, the perks, and the temporary monument buffs. Which, you know, not everything has to be valuable. But it would be cool if more things were. I mean, eventually, if you get powerful enough, you know, like it might get to the point where you don't even care about orbs. You can just clear the run without even getting them, and then it's like, well, I'm literally just running from boss to boss. But I'm not at that point yet. The way damage scaling works, though, it's theoretically a point you'll get to. Keep playing long enough. I'm fearing these 5 and 7 damages from these knife traps. It's gonna take me down. Yeah, I think people have a hard time thinking about penetration and damage. Like, penetration isn't like a growing scalar. It very much has a cap. Like, it's not like, oh well, 10% armor penetration is going to keep on getting better and better the more armor enemies have. It's like, it will, but not in a linear amount. It is a rapidly decreasing value. Like, it gets closer and closer to 11.1-ish% damage. It'll never get better than that. Which is the reason that strength sucks so much, is because, oh, strength can get closer and closer to 50% penetration. Well, you know what 50% penetration is? That's a damage doubler at best. You get that from like 300 points of Dex or Int. Whereas you even get close to 50%, you'd need in the thousands of strength. It's like not even comparable to how good strength is compared to crit and or Dex and Int. There's so bad. And the fact that it's only physical damage too, which granted, physical damage is the only important damage in the end game. But that's just me complaining. Yeah, anybody else in... Oh. What point did... Red dust has never been a bottleneck for me. I maintain one set of gear and I share it between all my characters. So, I never had an issue where I was running too low. That might not be true. Very, very early game, I had some issues, but that was more because town buildings were requiring dust, and I don't think it was ever the red one that was the issue. It was always the gray one. Because almost every class is going to want the same thing at the same levels. If you want to be fancy, you can take a couple classes that want weapon builds instead of spell builds, and then it's like, oh, well, you have 2 sets of gear instead of 1. But yeah, at the start of the game, every class except Ranger is going to want int gear with as much cooldown reduction, maybe a few pieces of mana cost reduction that you can swap back and forth. And as much physical damage additional that you can get on it with some focus and some vitality. Bam. You have your gear set up. If you switch to a sorcerer, change that physical to fire. Switch to rogue, and you're struggling, switch the physical to poison. Which, I don't... Poison is complicated. Poison damage has an innate dot that ends up making it do more damage over time than physical. But upfront damage-wise, it's worse. it's a complicated situation. I would recommend if like the 20 through 40 levels going poison. But if you're not doing that, you can get by just running physical as a poison rogue. You don't even need to switch gear for that. Yeah, No, I can't say it's been an issue. Like, even in my zeros to heroes that I did, like, I didn't run into an issue with it. I was at a strong surplus once I actually got the enchants that I needed. That being said, I was only changing out my like if my gear fell 10 or so levels behind, then I would try to get it updated. But then I'd share the same gear with all of my characters for 5 new games. It's like, well, now I have plenty of resources. Especially if you're doing maps now for the epic gear. Well, you don't get blue and you don't get purple for it. So that doesn't really help that much. I don't know. It wasn't an issue when I revisited lower level content. I guess my solution would be that is just upgrade slightly less often. And if you need to upgrade but can't yet, just run a different character with the better gear. If you're going to try to have a set of gear for each character, it's going to be an issue, and good luck. I would never recommend that. Don't know why I'm killing everything. I need experience, but I don't need to be killing everything in dungeon. God, these are all so bad. I could take him to get him out of the pool, but no. Yeah, and I don't like if I have to just switch out 1 or 2 pieces of gear, I don't get a whole new set of gear. I just run the characters that have the similar attributes together. And then when it comes time to play a character that needs something else, I run all of them together. So like all the characters that have self-sufficiency with mana, like the Warlock, the Sorcerer, kinda the Wizard. Just have 1 set of gear. And like what I did in Zeros to Heroes, like I don't like the elemental speed enchants. I think that they are a nice damage boost over just what Swift gives. But because you need a whole separate gear to get 8% damage, I 8% damage with a heavy resource cost as well, I suppose. I just don't. I did not run Toxic or Scorching in the lower game. I'm like, if I was butting up against content that was actually a challenge, then I think optimizing gear like that, sure. But that you're not going to get to the point where you really need to eke out every little point if you play well until you start getting in a new game 20, 30s when the game really starts ramping up. And once you get to that point, you probably do have a surplus of resources, and it probably shouldn't be as hard. Yeah. I think being smart about changing your gear is the easiest solution. Alternatively, it's not expensive to just... Sorry. It is not costly, time-wise, to just do Citadel runs on a new game below what you're capable of, if you really, really need the resources for changing it. And by that I mean just go into Forest 1 and immediately run to Citadel, light 4 candles, kill all the ghosts, pick up the trinkets, and leave the game. Because you'll get credit for all the trinkets you pick up during that times your new game multiplier bonus. I'm not recording, so I can copy-paste in chat what you need to do for that. Artoon. Let me see. I think that's how you're trying to pronounce the name. If not, well, sorry, just tell me how to actually pronounce that. Let's see. You can either update your configuration file, or you can put what I'm about to put into YouTube chat into the console window, which you can get by pressing the tilde key. I'm just looking for the post, so I can copy paste it without having to remember everything. Yeah, if you just open up the console like that, and just go bloop. And you can see you can even do further than 2. 2 is just what I have. Like if I wanted to do bigger, I could be like that. And then just enter it without the save to actually change it in the right here and now without having to reboot the game. I don't want this far out, though. So, change back to what it was. That's how you would do that. Yeah, so you're not going to notice the scaling too much at low new games. Every 5 new games, it doesn't double. It adds a passive 100%. So everything that would have been a 1 becomes a 2. Everything that was a 2 would become a 4. And then add another 5 new games, that becomes a 3 instead of a 2, etc., etc. It really matters once you start getting higher. So obviously do the thing that you can do quickly without inhibiting you, and then you can get the best that way. Low new games, that should get you enough for your resources. Yeah, it shouldn't be that bad. You'll obviously get less red dust needle crystals, but in a pinch, it will get you what you need. Obviously, there's things you can do to speed that up, like using a character that has a weapon build and using dual daggers. Because dual daggers basically just give you an additional dash. Get there quicker. Old school strats that people were doing back in February, but I would recommend don't bother doing that and just, you know, more efficiently engineer your gear. And I think the rule of thumb that I generally use now is if I find a piece of gear... Well, I've changed that now they've introduced epics. What I was doing, that I was still getting by on, was if I found a gear that was 7 levels better than what I had, without the enchants, and if I got a +5 for an imp, it would have to be 12 levels better than what I had, then I would get that upgrade. Otherwise, just sell it. And that would work for me then. But again, I'm only upgrading one character, and then I'm using my best set of gear on everybody that was lower than him once I get to a certain point. And I would swap off before I would run out of dust, and then that would stockpile back again. Oh, Scroll of Hellfire. Yes, one of the 3 most useless trinkets in the game. Not actively bad, just useless. Oh man, I did not get close at all with that spin. There we go. Got there in the end, though. Yeah, if you spin, I think I mentioned this last time, but if you spin before you get to the bosses, it'll keep you in the animation while you approach, so you can start them off before it normally lets you put in key inputs. You can do that for things other than the weapon spin, but I think the weapon spin is the highest damaging of all the things you can do. Except maybe Firewall. Firewall at low levels is pretty beastly on the Sorcerer. Especially if you can get it lined up. So getting that lined up is a little bit harder. I think I said I was going to do like 1 level. I lied. How am I looking experience-wise? Oh, the fun of not having a passive ability that gives me plus 100% experience. I'm sure if anybody listens to me talk on this stream or any of my streams, you will hear me complain about that very frequently. The wizard is so far ahead literally for that reason. I mean, the fact that it is also the most defensive and highest damage dealing class in the game is, you know, probably helps. But not being able to skip half the mobs because I'm not getting a, 100% extra experience if I want to level, it hurts. Especially as you need more and more experience as scrolls become more and more worthless, and the difference between experience needed and experience gained grows more and more and more and more. Granted, this is one of my lowest level characters, so it's not even having the buff nearly as bad as my rogue was, but if there's one thing I can do, it is complain. I can do that and walk any day of the week. Math or talking? Maybe not, but complaining, that's the story. I don't know why that was a hard thought. Of course I'm going to take the resources. Crowning Achievement is a lovely trinket. But like most things in the game, after you get to a certain level, it matters less and less. The one trinket that will always be good Until, you know, you don't care about death because it's an impossibility. It will be Phoenix Feather. And the way defense scales, defense does not scale nearly as fast as offense. So Phoenix Feather is good for so long. Okay, this is the worst trinket in the game. Doesn't matter since this content's easy on my warrior, but... Oh, I forgot there is also a 40% passive melee damage that is also important on the warrior. I'm thinking about bow stuff. I forgot to mention that earlier. But no, the Arachnoid Legacy. Followers become a detriment very quickly in that they do no damage. And, you know, a lot of times you can be like, oh, well, they're a bullet sponge at the very least, right? Except in Quartz, where in the infinite wisdom of game development decided that the arrows that get shot, you know, the ones that can one or two shot you if you don't have a bunch of defensive skills, pierce every enemy. Well, not every enemy. If you had 1,000 enemies lined up in a row, or allies lined up in a row, it would only pierce the first 999. So, you know, that's something. But no. So, you hit them out here, going up to these archers who let out these barrages of thousands of arrows well before you get to them, so you're playing a bullet hell. Instead of, you know, waiting till you actually get close to them and can kill them before they can unload their volley. Followers are so bad. Oh, phone call. Hold on a second. All right. Time to finish the run. Oh, now I get that. Was that my second or my third? Second. Okay, now I get more experience. Yay. I'm not gonna have to clear this whole thing. I think I might. I'm gonna go in here to proc more eyeballs. There we go. I should probably do that over here too. Yes. The regen that you get from iron also increases your potions. It increases your passive regen, potions, and food pickups. And then on top of that, the combo health also just doubles that from all sorts of healing. My brain was thinking I was going to get humbled by those lightning wisps. But no, the defenses on the warrior are just actually that good. Oh, now I get more cooldown. Yay. Yeah, it almost feels like a shame picking up the things. It's like, oh, well, while you're below 35% health, you get, 30 to 60% damage reduction. Those things are huge, but I barely ever hit those amounts. But if I do, I'd be super grateful when I have them. Those are slightly more effective health pool than the 10, 20, 30%. But they stack together again, multiplicatively, so, get both. Feels like a shame to never use it, but if you would have needed it, it's good to have. They're great. Okay, I am very close. I was like, man, I have to be close to level. As I'm over here looking at the stream, running into a wall. That's great. It's great when things come together, don't have to worry about the 3 stages of Avatar. Strength. I need to invest in strength, not vitality, so that I can wear the other level 700 gear. Alright. Manage their in Discord question real quick. Alright, let me check something real quick and then... about 45 minutes. Be another quick run. Do I want to try it? Yeah, might as well. Oh, Blessing of Protection. What crazy stuff am I on? Blessing of Wisdom. Alright. Wisdom's hit or miss because you can't get the monument of the thing. Same thing you get a chapel buff for, so I can't get like the 100% experience if I do the 25% here. But again, math-wise, 125 is not a quarter of 100 or 200%. It is, you know, like going from 5/4 to 8/4. The math tells me that's what, an 8/5 difference. All right, I can do math. I can't do math. Don't tell people. Yeah, I make graphs so I don't have to do math. All these are bad. I do have options to use Shadow Curse to re-roll there, and I could get away with it because the early game enemies are trivial at this point. The reason I don't is I've just got in a habit of not doing it and not trying to remember how many charges I have left, because I can still get by even with trash picks. If I was struggling, I might focus on there a little bit harder. Which I probably should be for Rogue when I'm running it, because I am struggling on my Rogue. A lot of good options here. And not having to sit through re-rolls and evaluate the decision again is just quicker. If I could do insta-picks, that would be great, but my brain lags a bit, so... Alrighty. Secret. I have to be getting close to maps. Actually, let me check that while I'm here. 17 more maps. Alright. Not today. This week, maybe. I hate the mushrooms on this level. They sort of can plop into the geometry for the walls, and their shadows can make it look like it's a secret. Like right here. My brain's like, that's a secret. No, it's just a bad shadow clip. The secret is right here, though. Yeah, crit damage becomes one of the... Or not crit damage, sorry. Crit chance becomes one of the most important skills at the stage of the game that a lot of my characters are in, because critting once or twice will generally one-shot most mobs. Where it takes like 20... Well, maybe not 20, maybe like 10 hits. Normally kill it, because there's that big damage discrepancy. It's like being able to guarantee crits in a smaller amount of time is just a much faster clear speed, even if the technical damage is lower. Why I'm not actually running Sundering on any of my gear at the moment, because I don't care about non-crit hits, even if it is a bigger buff than 5% crit chance. I would love if I could use double-edged also, but that is a challenge that so far only Warlock has been able to unlock for me. That 25% weapon damage is huge. Or weapon crit chance is huge. But then again, so is losing 2.5% of your current health every time you crit. That's also a very significant thing. Yeah, it wasn't until very recently that on my Warlock, it's like, well, the Iron Guild bonus that I get from that actually makes it so that when I have enough perks, I'm out healing the damage I'm doing to myself. Because Warlock does have some insane healing. In both the Ritual and the Essence. At higher levels, the Essence becomes better and better because you don't want to stick around in an area. And you don't want the cooldown associated with the Ritual. You don't want to have a bunch of that on your gear. They've also added the Thirsty enchants for the epic modifiers. I'm sure that people have luck with them. I have not yet. I've not found a good use case. But I think I'm outside the threshold where they're useful. I'm sure they would be really useful on my Zeros to Heroes characters, though, as they're about to entering the tough stages of the game. I'm probably still not going to run it, just because I've gotten the habit of not standing in fire. I feel like I don't take that much damage anymore when I'm actively avoiding it. The exceptions being Wisps and Court Archers, and I don't feel like they have big enough health pools that you could reliably guarantee you get bleed on them anyway. Because they're generally taking you out right before you're getting to them. And if you don't have bleed ticks going, it doesn't matter. That you have life steal if you're not currently in the process of stealing life. Yeah. So basically, they're really good in for the purpose of attrition, the Thirsty Epic Enchant, but I don't find myself in battles of attrition that as often as you might expect. And I feel like I have the bosses pretty well figured out by now. Except when I do something dumb like I did yesterday with Rogue. But yeah, that happens when you're getting aggravated with the game. Like, I was past the stage where I was done wanting to play. Alright, speed it along. There we go. Yeah, as soon as you kill that big guy, that opens up. Don't have to kill all of them in that last round. Alright, the one to the south is equipment, so I only need to do this one. These traps do no damage, so I don't actually have to do them. Yeah, I am using overheated gear to get through this quicker, so I'm fairly positive in the armor right now. Like, yeah, I'm 95. Which may not seem like a lot, but, you know, 95 is a lot more than, you know, negative 8,000. So, oh, pretty good. Or I'll trade 9 iron for a useless trinket to get it out of the pool. Nothing valuable up here, and there's not the secret. Okay. There's a secret. Oh, maxed out that resistance. That's a good one. Alright, am I going to be able to get combo? Yeah, okay. It's calling it close on a couple of those hits. Yeah, you can see that overgearing stuff and having enough in So much spell power from the wizard being higher. Like, combo is actually just enough to take out these guys. Kitty cat. Meow meow. I might have a cat trying to sit on the keyboard in a moment, so we'll see how that plays out. Nope, just a passing interest. Alright. Okay, Drums of Battle, best item in the game. Yeah, I'll take it. I mean, it was a good talent, but it's not drums, so... Don't care about the equipment at all. Don't care about the equipment or the resources at all. Still need to find the secret, though. There it is. Alright. So hard to find on this map. Anything from Shadow? Hey! 2 good skills. Alright. If this content was challenging, I would go and get the Shadow Curse braziers there, but I am too overgeared for that. Heck, even if I wasn't overgeared, I probably wouldn't. Warrior's a tough cookie. And I'll probably get things to... Nope, don't need any of those. Didn't even need the weapon damage, really, but take it. Did not even see the secret there, so I will take that any day of the week. Resources. None of those are worth it. I don't need these, but I'm already over here. That for some healing. Alright, let's see if I can kill Arista before he opens. You have a pretty good offensive lineup this time around. Yeah, that counts, right? Got one of the secrets. I still need to be able to look up for the other. And kill things for experience, because barracks is where experience actually starts mattering. Arguably dungeons, but really barracks. I've gotten a lot of experience stuff this time around, so I probably skip all Dark Halls if I get lucky. I did not see it on that whole run through. Did I miss it? Usually these are pretty easy. Oh, yep. Worthless. I was gonna say, usually barracks are pretty easy to spot. Sometimes they get tricky in the corners. Nope, worthless. Alright. Alright, yeah, I should be good experience-wise. Book of experience is huge. Getting that before done barracks should mean I don't have to do Dark Halls at all. Unless I get, like, a super truncated quartz. Which happens. I've had quartz where it's only take 2 steps and you're at the exit. Those are the exception, not the norm. Okay, that was 2 levels, so I need 3 more. Ooh, that's nice. No, just that. I don't need to be greedy. If I hadn't already activated the bonfire, I might have done it. But I was not caring about optimizing for shadow curse removal. I am failing at finding secrets today, apparently. I have to do another map scroll to find the one on here. Matter of pride, not even efficiency for doing that. So weapon or spells will never outscale weapons again once you cross that threshold. But there is a point where it doesn't matter because you're going to one-shot mobs with either way. At which point, you know, on mobs, spells are going to be better because spells hit a bigger area than weapons. But they will never, yeah, once weapons outscale, spells never catch up or even get close again. I think at my current level, it's something like weapons do 6 times more damage than spells. So it's not like an insurmountable amount, it's just you know, 6 times is... it's a number. And that's like comparing Magic Missile to an Axe. It's obviously different spells with different damage, but... Ooh, Codex got 2 pieces there. Alright. Oh wow, I was talking about super short quartz. This one is moderately short. Very straight at the very least, if not short. Yeah, not that short. So clean. Popped that without taking any Shadow Curse. The first time around. Coming back, not so much. The timing on both sides of the trap being down isn't super huge. If I was willing to take more time and a little bit better, I could consistently get it, but doing it most of the time is enough. I don't want those. Especially with all the sources and ways to remove Shadow Curse. The nice thing about Warrior, though, is all of this defense that they get built up, unlike the Wizard, doesn't have stacks to worry about. Whereas the Wizard, if you run out of barrier, it's like, oh, I'm taking no damage, becomes, I'm taking a lot of damage very quickly. Whereas Warrior just laughed the whole time. If Warrior had 100%... Ooh, 10 more crit chance. I'll take that. If Warrior had the same experience options as a Wizard, my Warrior would probably be a higher level than my Wizard. So I do enjoy playing him a little bit more. Even if he is slower, because Haste getting past 25% movement speed is nice. It is a very nice build. Much better than the 10% that Warrior gets. Sorry if you had to listen to Jets. I don't know how bad that's going. Greater Weakness is very nice. Not as consistent, because you have to apply a buff first, but it's very nice. Yeah, I'm going to have to do a full clear here if I want to avoid most of the wisps. I'm saying I think I can avoid all of them before. These quartz were pretty... Oh, they feel small. Maybe they're not that small. They're kind of small. Alright. Yeah. 1 level and 7% to go. I appreciate the 2 heads teaming up there. It's nice. Do snakes like... I thought snakes gave experience. That... I might have bugged it there. Or I might just be misremembering. Because they did not that time. Alright. Ow. Yeah, nothing like thunder wisps to or lightning wisps to humble you. Going into a stream of bullets. Gotta keep my hubris to a minimum. It's always embarrassing to die in dark halls. Okay, 65, almost there. Let me get a few eyes over here. There we go. And the eyes have it. But yeah, the disparity between weapon and spell damage, if you really think about it, there's somewhat complicated math behind it, but it all boils down to the fact that spell-based damage is based off your skill trainer talent tree, whereas the weapon damage just is something that increasingly scales with your weapon as you level. So there isn't a cap on it. So there's basically a multiplier that gets added to weapons that just doesn't spells, because for spells it's a scalar, not a variable. And because there's nothing comparable to fill that gap, spells can just never catch up once the item level starts taking off. In the most layman's terms that I can say it. Two in a row. Not bad. I will take them. Well, I gotta go get ready for some things. But if anybody has any more questions or want to say anything, the official Discord that you can get to in the game by just pressing escape and clicking the Discord button. I frequently am on there and answering questions for anything you might have. You can check out any of the skill guides there or anything. Community's relatively friendly. You might get some spammers. Nothing you can do about that on Discord, though. Yeah, feel free to check it out, and I'm going to be heading out. Godspeed, and hopefully everyone has a wonderful night. Peace. Oh, actually, let me show off how long that run took first. 27 minutes. Okay, now I'm gone.